Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Design of Penny's Sword. As you can see, a lot of stuff has changed. In fact, this is the second time I've said that today. Basically, what happened is this got into a giant mess, and I don't want to get into all of it. I mean, basically, I don't want to have you sit through an hour and a half of me fighting with this. So, we printed what we had at the end of episode 3. And now we're going to go ahead and finish, or I'm going to show you everything we did. Then we're going to go lay it out for printing, and I'm going to show you how we did all that. A little shorter of an episode, hopefully. I'm going to try and talk through some of the stuff I did. We printed the weapon. In fact, let me go ahead and pull up. We did a few... I did like a test paint, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that up and show everybody it. But, yeah, here we go. So this is what we printed. This was basically what we had at the end of the next episode. We did some small changes. There's some issues. So this piece here was not mirrored to the other side like it should have been. This is a very quick and dirty paint job. You can see here, this was an issue. So this is why I print everything before I release the files. So I couldn't get this to light up like I wanted it to, because this right here, again, it was quick and dirty. When I do it with the airbrush, it'll look a little more uniform. This is silver paint, and then a like a transparent green on top of it to give it a glowy effect. Might have added some white paint in there. I don't know. I have to look at my notes. But for the most part, it's just... And I need to look at the weapon a little bit better because this may end up being a different black than this. There's a couple things I'm going to change. As you can see, we also had problems getting these edges to look really clean. So I'll show you the changes we made. This order, no changes. No changes, whatever. He was a good boy. The rest of it, oh, problems. So we did 3D print this, and I didn't bother, like you can see the seam lines. We didn't really bother cleaning it because I knew it was just going to be a paint test and kind of an example. So, without further ado, let's get into what changes we made. Obviously, we didn't make any changes to this guy. We did, however, expand this and then reduce how far it is into the part. Basically, that gives us a more of, it'll pop more and it'll look better. We also went through and combined these. If you remember at the end of the other episode, this piece, this outer ring, was separate. That was to make it a little easier to print. Or to paint, but it made it impossible to print. So now this is these pieces, if I can get into this component here real quick, are 2 halves, and they print a lot nicer. With this being such a shallow dome, it just doesn't print well. It's a lot of steps in it, a lot of finishing, but this works. This blade is way too thick when we first had it, so we went ahead and reduced it. It's still a little bit thick for a sword blade. It's actually quite a bit thick for a sword blade, but from, you know, the screenshots and stuff, it's a pretty thick blade. So, we're a little bit closer to what I would call an accurate thing. What I don't like is... Hold that screenshot. See how in this screenshot you can't see the outline at all of the glowy bar thing? It comes and it goes. It could just be flat on the blade. I don't know, but we made a decision to go ahead and add that piece in because then it's easily painted and it looks right. And we've got the cut there and everything. So that's where we're at now. What we also did was went in and made these a little bit deeper so that there's a little more incline to these chamfers. We went ahead and modified that. Another way to do that would be to create a sweep and then run a sweep all the way through that, but that just I don't think that was necessary for what we were doing here. But as you can see, we've cut her up too. So this blade is obviously too big to be cut to be printed on most printers. Maybe if you had like a CR10, but because these are for production files, they have to be made so that they can be printed by average users. So this is one whole piece here. It's got this nice convenient cut right here that you don't even have to fill in because there's an actual seam there. then this piece is one whole piece, and this piece. And when we printed them out, they look great. Again, we cut that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go through the export process of all of this, and then show you how we lay it out and how we were going to print it. And then that will pretty much wrap up this episode. So first, we use the make button here in Fusion. You can go to this body and export it as an STL. I use this. I have it pre-rendered to pull up Simplify 3D. However, it opens a new instance every time because I had to go in and make a custom. It won't just add it to a file. I need to look. There may be a tag to add to that or something, but it seems to be just opening the exe. So instead of doing that, because we're going to go ahead and export it, so we're going to export it. This was all the stuff that we had done previously, so what we're going to do is make a new folder. And we're going to call this the Pummel, Grip, because I can't spell. Now, what I do, so this is the crossguard. And you'll notice that these two pieces are actually the same, so it's just a mirror operation, but because, again, these are for release, I make them two separate files, so you just print all the files in the folder and everybody's happy. Alright, we're going to call this one Blade 1. I do need to go ahead and rename this one to 1. Then we're going to call this Blade 1. Hang on. I might have to change something real quick. We did a lot of changes to this, and there may be an issue that I'm not quite catching. 285. Yeah, okay. Turn on my construction plans. There it is. So I did miss the tool. Come on. Am I in the right? I'm in the main thingamajig, right? Yeah, nothing's zoned out. Combine. I don't need combine. I need split body. Split body. This guy with this splitting tool. See how it extends. It's going to go ahead and cut that right there. That gives us a nice easy cut point. And let's get rid of those construction planes. Okay, so we do have to cut these in a couple places, so we're trying to cut it in the most convenient way possible. Another thing you'll notice if you didn't catch it in the previous episodes, this is designed to have a dowel rod in it, so there's dowel rods running through these. And that'll come up here in a second when I show you how they're supposed to be printed. So this is gonna be Blade 1 again. Yeah, we know. Made mistakes. Okay, so Blade 2. Was Blade 2 the terrible one? I liked Blade 1. Blade 3 is... I can't remember. Blade 3 is the one with... Blade 2 is the one with the guy whose face splits open, isn't it? And has Ron Perlman in it, right? Because Ron Perlman's a jerk and ends up dying at some point. Spoiler alert for a movie that came out in the 90s. Well, early aughts maybe. I kind of like that one. I do like all the Blades. They're pretty good. I want to say 2 is the one I don't like the most. Like 3 is just sort of fun and stupid, and it's got like Ryan Reynolds in it. So it's sort of like whatever. This one's fun, but 2 is the one that was like still a little too serious. It's got one of the dudes from like what's that called? I can think. It's from The Walking Dead. He's one of the guys from The Walking Dead, I believe. Okay, so again, we've got all our files here. You can't see my other monitor, so we're gonna go ahead and plop them all in here. And now we're gonna organize everything. So most of these are pretty good as far as orientation goes already. This one, I want to print this direction, just like it's sitting. I don't want to flip it over because then it'll put... What we're trying to minimize or eliminate is any support material being inside these things. Most 3D printers can do bridging, so that'll come up with this one. So we don't want any 3D print supports in that. It's just impossible to get out. You'll just end up spending all your time drilling that out, and it's a mess. So we want these guys to print like this. And as you saw when I deleted them earlier, the one I deleted earlier, generating the support. Now, there's a little bit of a question. Before I release these files, I will print these. So I will print supports in there because that'll help keep that nice and round. I sometimes make these holes like this when they're two pieces that go over it a little bit bigger, or I run the Dremel in, because you'll run into an issue up in this section right here where it'll get the support material and a couple other things. It'll get a little oblong, it'll get a little flat right there when it gets into the peak, and that'll usually prevent things from going in and out of it. But this should print. I have printed one similar. I've actually printed that one with the deeper grooves. This has less of a groove. It should print. If I prepare this, so there's a lot of stuff in here, so I forgot. It'll chug along for a while. And it's going to generate a bunch of support for those other pieces. But there will be some stepping up in here, but we can hit that with a sander real quick. It's really unavoidable. What we want to avoid is too much stuff in here. So I can drop my support material down to like 1 millimeter and create some in there if it's a problem. But most of the time I'll be able to just get in there and clean out, sort of the mess in there. But, like I said, we've done this once and it worked out all right, and then we extended some stuff. We made these grooves bigger so that they might print a little bit better. So we want those down like that. This one obviously needs to get rotated over. If you're wondering how I'm doing that, it's Control-L in Simplify 3D. So Control-L and pick a face and it'll drop down. So these should print, no support, nothing whatsoever. This angle's not too steep. They'll print perfectly. They printed fine the last time, and now all they are is a little bit thinner. That looks odd. Hold on, we may have an error in the file. This is another reason why I checked it. Yeah, there's something wrong with the file, so I'm gonna have to go in and look at that. Again, this is a good check for a lot of that stuff. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and process this. So prepare to print. We normally print on our Maker Gear M2. I had a love-hate relationship for the last couple of weeks with that one, but now that we got her back running, there was a PTFE tube deep inside the extruder that was just a terrible nightmare, and had been actually a problem from the beginning, and it was just so hard to diagnose that we finally got it, and she prints beautifully now. So no complaints anymore. I have a buddy who runs it constantly, and it's an expensive printer, but I bought it because I need it to just work, and when it wasn't working, I was kind of upset. So as you can see, there's support material in here. So what we're gonna do is, now if I was gonna print this, and I might print all of it at once, I'll probably just print these separately when I do it. But normally what I would do, generate these supports. Trying to remember how to do this. There was a way to do it, and I just totally forgot. I know I can generate the supports and then come in here and delete them. There's another way to do this. Or to just print separately. I also haven't updated to the new version because I was having so many problems with the printer. So let's try that. Obviously, this is just kind of showing you how I would print this if I was going to do it. Generate the G code. Yeah, no, it didn't work. Yeah, there's a new way to create a new method just for this one in Simplify. Like I said, I haven't updated yet, but I would just print this separately because if you look at my settings here, you'd want to, if I unselect generate support, well, maybe that's how you do it. Is because it's gonna whine. No. I don't know if that disables all. We'll see here in a second. So my computer chugs. Yeah, no, it's generating absolutely no support. So, anyway, I would print this differently, or like I said, develop a new process just for this piece. You can do that in the new version. But that's pretty much it. So let's go back in and find out what happened. So that looks good. And this does not. Oh, there we are. That's a ridiculously easy fix. Chunk. Okay. We're going to need to export this again, and this is going to be Blade 3. Ryan Reynolds version. Save. Oh, save, yes. Let's go back over here. We will delete this. Let's go back to our production file. Drop 3 in, just to double check. Again, in Simplify, Control L, bring that face to the floor. W brings up your move. R brings up your rotate. Things like that. And Q is select. Looks like it worked. Okay, let's get in here. So that looks fine. It's all orange, so it's hard to see. But yeah, so that piece is fixed now. And so that is what we would call a production file. And so what we'll do is we'll zip this up and we'll add it to the website. And now we'll obviously not zip this up. What we'll do is zip up the STLs, and you can cut them up in your own software for your printer and all that jazz. But that's basically what we do and how we work through the process. And I hope you enjoyed the ride. This is our first in this series. I believe I'm gonna sit down today and see about starting a new one. I like this idea. If you have any suggestions or ideas, let us know in the comments. Just to kind of, put it out there. This is experimental. We're trying to build up to, these files there's going to be a link in the comments. These files are for sale. They are not for free. I know a lot of people, want that, but we haven't decided yet. There may be an option to get them for free in the future. If you are interested in, say, a Patreon or something where you get all the files we do, we're hoping to do 2 to 4 a month at this point. It depends on, I have to do stuff that makes money so that they don't come and take my house and everything away from me. So it's sort of a push and a shove thing there. So if you really want to do that, let us know. In the interim, we are going to be starting on a neat little service called Ko-fi. It's Ko-fi. It's CO-FI. But anyway, essentially everything here is run on Ko-fi. I think I've already had a cup and a half today, maybe 2. We're going to have probably 3 more for today. So everything runs on Ko-fi, and if you learned something through this series from Fusion 360, if you just had some fun and enjoyed yourself and would like to support the idea of having us do more of this stuff, then there'll be a link and some other stuff around so that you can get into that. And basically, it just sends $3 to my PayPal because you bought me a cup of coffee. It's a gimmick. I know. It's funny. I enjoy it. And it sort of gives me that metric of, do we want to do a Patreon? If that starts to come about, if people are willing to sort of give so that we can produce more of this content. And I'd really like to do this. I hope you all enjoyed yourself. Like I said, suggestions and stuff in the comments. Let us know what we're doing, what you would like to see us design. I am a little limited on what I can do, so I may not be able to just kind of have to say I can't do that. Or we may do like a stream or something for stuff that so it's me learning more. So it's just you can come hang out with me and I can go bang my head against a piece of software, and that kind of thing. So if basically that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed Penny and her sword. Sorry about cutting that big chunk out of the middle, but sometimes designs get weird like that, and I don't necessarily want you to sit there for 2.5 hours. Just watching me go, well, I'm going to do this. Oh, that broke this. Oh, that broke that. So, Thank you all for stopping by. Thanks all for hanging out. And we'll see you in the next one. And spoiler alert, it may or may not be from XCOM 2, because that game has consumed my life. We will see. Thank you all very much. Have a good day.